8:45 in the morning, a quarter before 9 o'clock. It's the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, AM 1160, 101.1 FM, Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank. And it is time for us to visit with you once again on Facebook Live as well as here in studio. And we've got some members of the Indiana Players who are getting set to premiere Of Mice and Men, going with the classics. How about each of you introduce yourselves so people can distinguish your voices?
I'm Eric Whitmer, and I'm the director of the show.
John Henry Steelman, I'll be playing Candy.
And I'm Jonathan Bogert, and I'll be playing Curly.
There you go. Of Mice and Men. Who's going to give me the details on showtimes and ticket information?
Showtimes, it opens this Friday. The show dates are October 26th, 27th, and November 2nd and 3rd. Those showtimes are at 7:30 p.m. And then on October 28th and November 4th, we have a 2:30 matinee. And you can purchase tickets at the door at the theater, or you can always look us up on social media or on our website and order tickets online there.
At the Philadelphia Street Playhouse.
Correct, yep.
There you go. A classic Of Mice and Men, and you get to direct it.
I've proposed it originally 2 years ago, and we were able to get in the rotation this year, so it's been one I've been really hoping to, looking forward to directing.
What attracted you to the story?
Well, I read the story years ago, and one thing was I really thought it really encapsulated that generation. That's personally what I'd like to dedicate our performance to, is that greatest generation, because it was always a lot of motivation just knowing that the generation that got us to the moon and fought all the injustices that they did at the time started out in dirt poverty, basically, and just knowing that how they came up. And I thought a lot about it, like in the past couple of years, just relaying at the point where a lot of elderly relatives of mine were starting to fail in health, and I just saw so much of them in the characters of the story in that generation. So, to them, this is just a little tribute to them, to that greatest generation.
John Henry and Jonathan, you're both in the cast. Let's explain your role and how you approach it.
Well, I'm playing Candy, who is this old guy who's been on the ranch for a long time, but he lost his hand a couple of years ago, and now he's reduced basically to just being a janitor. And when George and Lenny show up, he kind of latches onto them and hangs his dreams on theirs.
Mm-hmm. There you go. There you go. Jonathan?
I'm playing the part of Curly, and I guess for all intents and purposes, he's one of the main villains of the story. He's the boss's son and an all-around not nice guy. He just got married, and he's just really antsy and all over the place on the ranch, and he just really gets in everybody's business. He's hopping around. You'll see him pop in and off the stage a couple of times throughout the play, and he just tries to, it bends everyone the wrong way. So he's just not a very nice guy.
An all-around not nice guy. Typecasting, are they, Jonathan?
No, this was actually difficult because normally I'm pretty agreeable in real life, and had to kind of, dig in a little deep to get, to play this part.
Yeah. Eric, tell us a little bit more about some of the other cast members.
It's also starring Dave Cavell, Bill Herring, Hannah Wallach, James Eric Suman, Timothy Rung, Mark Henry, Jaquay Gibbs, and Dan Mayburn. And a special shout out to our stage manager, Lana McGarden, and Katrina Caden and Sharon Smith, who are helping with lights and sound.
Of course, we all read it in high school, but for those who can't remember it, tell us what Of Mice and Men is about.
It's about, focuses around the two main characters of Georgia and Lenny, who are migrant workers during the Great Depression. Lenny, of course, he's mentally handicapped, and George looks out for him, and it's basically tells of their struggles of just basically trying to keep their heads above water and the hopes of one day just owning a farm of their own.
Yeah, and so they find themselves in this situation with these two characters over here. As the rehearsals have gone forward, to our two Johns over there, has it been? Have either of you done this play before in this role or some other?
No, I've never done this particular play.
So, Jonathan?
No, I haven't either.
Okay, all right, but it is a classic of American literature. and of the stage and of the movie industry. And so you must have some experience with having seen it performed at some point or another, or not.
I mean, I think I've seen bits of the movie years ago, but I didn't have a strong recollection of it at all entering this. So in terms of approaching it, I just mostly worked off the script. I did go back and actually read Steinbeck's original. It's really fascinating that when he wrote it, although he wrote it as a story, not a play, he kind of he did have a play in mind as he was writing it. So the play really follows the story much closer than any other adaptation of something that I've worked with before.
Yeah, it adapts pretty well, doesn't it? Jonathan, from your standpoint, as you approached this role, yours is a sort of an iconic role and can be a stereotypical role. How do you make it your own?
Well, it took a lot of the smaller sort of mannerisms that go with the character. It went from just being angry and in general, and then kind of working in little motions that the character did, working in different tones of voice, kind of working with pacing, and it really changed the way the scene came across each time that we did it. So, and we've done it quite a few times. We've had plenty of time to rehearse so far.
You've got a taskmaster for a director?
Pretty organized, yeah.
Well,
And
yeah.
Director and stage manager.
Well, how many plays have you directed in the past?
This is my third full-length play I've directed so far.
With the players?
With the players, yeah.
And your experience from that first play to now your third. Tell me about your comfort level with this troupe of actors that you've been working with for all these
It's
times.
gone better and better. It's like I like to think like each time I direct something of it to learn something from a previous experience and get a better feel for it. And it always feels like a learning experience. I don't want to ever get to the point where I feel like, okay, I have it set now. I know what I'm doing. I like to still have that challenge there.
One of the great things about the Indiana Players is so many of the performers have been working together for many, many years. As a director, that can be challenging, I know, but it probably gives you a level of comfort that you know what you have up there and they know what they're doing.
It really does to know the people, and it's just been tremendous working with these guys. And it can be a bit intimidating at times because it's I've worked with them before, backstage and everything, and there's times where it's in the back of the head. It's oh, who am I to tell these people where to stand and how to act? It's they know me too well.
A lot of plays, though, when you get down to those days before it finally debuts, the atmosphere just becomes so frenetic. I would assume that that's not the case when you have a veteran cast of actors, but is it?
No, I felt like we've been well ahead of schedule, and even days ago I felt okay, we just a few little technical things that need tighten up, but as far as that, it's I feel like we're ready to go. And
Yeah.
I tell them at the end of the night, I really can't wait to see this get into motion.
Yeah. Let's turn back to our actors and find out.
Actually,
how they
I want to
feel.
throw in a comment about something you've been emphasizing there. The thing that's actually great about the players is how welcoming they are. And yes, I've been with them for almost 25 years now. I'm the old guy in the cast in a lot of different ways. But there's actually one member of the cast that this is the first show he's ever done.
Oh, yeah.
And that's very common for us to get somebody that's on stage for the first time with us. And therefore, I would encourage anybody out there who has any interest in it to pay attention. We've got auditions coming up for our next show on Monday and Tuesday. And if you're at all interested, it's a great opportunity.
There you go. Now,
Very welcoming.
how can people find out about that?
You can follow us on Facebook. We regularly have our schedule, our schedule with our upcoming auditions, and just come to the shows more often and look into programs. We have it all over our website and everything, so it's real easy to just find out the schedules and just come in off the street. And we really encourage anyone who's interested either in just acting or even just behind the scenes kind of work. Like John Henry said, it's a very welcoming environment. It's like a second family.
And I did want to give the actors an opportunity here, because since I put it to you about the atmosphere and whether it's a really frenetic pace as you head right up toward opening night. Is it that way for you fellas as well? Has it been that relaxed sort of, okay, we know what we're doing here, we're on the way, and we're right on schedule, or do the butterflies begin to build?
Well, I mean, it's when the show is, we normally do the different scenes, sometimes out of order, and sometimes when you get to the end and you put everything together, that's when, at least for me, it feels like the most comfortable. That's when the butterflies really start coming in, because it's like we have a full show here, we have all the makeup, the sets together, and just the atmosphere completely changes once Tech Week hits.
Yeah.
So it's an exciting time there.
Yeah, John Henry, you probably never want those butterflies to go completely away, do you?
Well, maybe not completely. I must admit that at this point now, I don't really feel it as butterflies. I mean, obviously, there's always an excitement, especially for opening night. But at this point, I'm so used to performing that it's like okay, here we go.
Well, here we go indeed. The next 2 weekends, Friday and Saturday in the evening, Sunday matinees, correct?
Correct, yep.
Philadelphia Street Playhouse of Mice and Men with the Indiana Players, and people can get their tickets ahead of time or on the night
Or
of the
right
show.
at the door, too. Yep.
Very good. Gentlemen, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
again.
We appreciate it. It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, AM 1160 and 101.1 FM.